Let's go ahead and get started. So, welcome to the 8th episode of the Council. We're here with Sanjita, Vancille, and Tassinix. Calvin is still missing. He went somewhere. He's not back yet. Lost in space, maybe behind me on the Cloud City or something. Who knows? So, let's go ahead and do introductions for anybody who is somehow new to this. Let's start with left to right here. Sanjita, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
I just got the YouTube channel. May not be watching on it. Focus on Grand Arena. I have a new account I started this year, which has taken a lot of my attention. So I enjoy the early game now, but also an end game player, like everyone else here as well. So just find me on YouTube. That's it. Songeta.
Thank you very much. Tass, how about yourself? You've been busy recently.
Yeah, just trying to raise my YouTube profile as well. I picked Sanjita's brain and some other folks about what I might do that fits with kind of my style. But yeah, I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Tassinix. I got my YouTube channel, Tassinix Gaming, and I'm trying to, my own personal goal is trying to put out a little something every day. So I've been working on this mod guide series, doing individual characters, and yeah, that's been keeping me busy. It's been a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah, it turned out pretty well. Vancille.
Hi, I'm Vancille. I stream on both YouTube and Twitch, and I primarily focus on like territory wars and kind of a lot of off-meta stuff. I do a lot of weird things on my account, and I don't really play it safe ever. So I'm always on the edge of the edge when it comes to gameplay.
Cool. Well, for those who are also new here, I'm Kin. I have been tragic, depends on your definition. I've been tragically absent from the content creation space for the past few months, but starting to get a little bit more free time the last month here. I guess we can start with what went on last season. How did everybody go? Vancille, we can start with you. Like, what was your last season? Any encounters with the Queen and threes? And
I had a lot of fun this last threes, surprisingly. I went 6-3.
Nice.
I ran into a couple Queen teams, but they know Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon, so it wasn't really like that hard to figure out. I did use Queen to almost clean up a solo Rey. Unfortunately, she revived and I timed out. But yeah, Queen is really, really good. I imagine with her full team, once everyone gets those new marquees, she's going to be very oppressive at fives. I set Bane the entire season, and he did his job. He got me a couple holds here and there. He drew out C. He drew out JMK. I think one person threw SLKR'd him. So I was like, all right, you're getting bad banners. You're using a GL. I'm not. I'm okay with that. So, and then Ships was about the same as it's ever been. So, but other than that, it was a pretty good season. I'm looking forward to fives.
Yeah, it was interesting on Ships. I think this is the first season. I mean, I saw it a bit last season, but not everybody had comeuppance at full stars for last season. I saw Radis on defense, I think, 3 times, 3 out of my 6 matches, which is, I mean, what sort of meta are we in when we have Radis on defense? It seems quite crazy, but it's actually a decent banner stripping team.
Yes.
What comp?
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you have something set such that you're going to be drawing their Chimera, because Chimera is just finger looking good, just 75 on that all day, every day. Other things may be a little less clean. I definitely saw a bunch of Radis on defense, and considering that a lot of people say both Profundity and Leviathan, it's a wash, whatever you'd put on defense. So why the hell not?
Yeah, it's interesting. It seems like ships are very much hard now to not get 72 to 74 average for all of your fleets. Like there's almost no combination of ships that you can use that will get you lower than that unless you literally put every strong fleet on defense and your opponent does the same.
So I have a
sort of.
I have a question then for fleets.
Hmm.
And this pertains to my whole season because I was asking all my viewers, like, I don't know what to do with my Millennium Falcon anymore. Like, I don't know where to put it. So I was putting it with Leviathan to trip people up. They're using Chimera, and it's like 50-50. It would trip them up, cause the hold. Sometimes it wouldn't get called out properly. But the thing is, I've noticed I don't need my Falcon on offense with Profundity anymore, because if I do Profundity versus Negotiator, it's still full banners. If I do Profundity versus Profundity and they have the Falcon, you just have to outplay the AI, and you should be able to beat them to ult, or just kill their Outrider and Falcon and you win. So I'm like, Profundity without Falcon is actually not bad. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with my Falcon anymore. I'd like to use it as a reinforcement to surprise somebody, but yeah, it's kind of an interesting dilemma I came across last season.
What do you use
Just
your?
use it as a reinforcement with Profundity then. And then it can call everyone to assist when it comes in.
That's true. That's true. That might be
Seriously.
that might be a good idea, actually. Yeah.
What do you use your Profundity for on offense? Like, what do you use against Executor or Triple Attacker?
Triple Attacker, I'm still using First Order.
Okay.
First Order always worked. I mean, you'll lose if you get bad RNG, but I mean, First Order's always been a counter.
But doesn't it average like 68 or 69 banners?
Sometimes, but I mean, as long as you're in control of it and you get those stuns, like, you're usually pretty okay on banners. But like I said, the trade-off is my Falcon, it may or may not get a hold if they throw Chimera against Leviathan. Because once the Falcon comes out, your Defender's gone, your Interceptor's gone, your whole fleet just loses to that one ship. But
yeah, interesting puzzle. I've been really keeping my Profundity to use versus Executor or Triple Attacker just because it's, horrible RNG, you get 72, normal RNG, 74, 75. Which is,
I also don't play to full clear, so that I can drop banners here and there. It's like, so yeah.
Very true. How did your season go, Tass? What stood out? Anything weird? Anything fun?
6-3, and it's just I'm starting to accumulate a little bit of rust. How many months can go by where more than half of my matches are these Erodiums that we're getting saddled with out here? Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to complain about the crystals. The crystals are nice. But the experience where in like only 4 of the matches in the entire season were against real people, and I lost 3 of them. And, maybe a little more actual relevant experience a little earlier in the season might have saved me a loss. Something like that. You never know for sure, but it's just one of those things where it's like you're in the fight, you make the mistake, you see what the mistake was. It's like, oh, I know I've done something like this sooner, but it didn't matter because I was doing this to blow out some Erodium guy. So I would have never have looked for it the way that I looked for it here. So yeah, 6-3, but it still feels gross because I lost more than I won on real matches. So yeah, it's about trying to actually get somewhere while only having a few real matches in a season, like less than half of your matches.
Yeah, that's very unfulfilling.
Yeah, I never really thought about that aspect of being in the Erodium version, the Erodium tippy top of Kyber, I guess. That's quite the downside, I guess, in terms of being able to practice and really see some.
It is an interesting problem because I'm like towards the bottom end of Kuiper right now. And I'll go up against some people who are like, they're missing 2 GLs. And I'm like, first off, props to you for making it this high, but I'm like, how the heck did you make it this high?
Yeah. But that's a real person, though.
Yeah.
I'm fighting a guy where, like, the best thing on his roster is his, like, Gear 4 or Relic 4 Darth Revan, right? No GLs. It's like, you aren't learning nothing from that. You can't try to learn nothing from that. You can casually 59, like, everything in 3 vs 3. And then fleet is whatever. Like, you can go in with 3 ships because all your stuff, like you said, is like Relic 8, Relic 9 pilots. And then it's like, I have 3 Gear 12 ships on the front line. Okay, yeah, I get nothing from that. I get the crystals. That's it.
Oh, okay. So when I
Yeah,
when I thought you
Task
said a
got
Rhodium,
a
I thought you meant like lesser players.
2,120.
Oh no, I'm not shitting you, Van Seal. I'm talking about that bug that we've been like whining
Oh,
about
okay,
for
okay.
months
That's what that.
with the
Okay.
Erodiums
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
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 bulked
yeah.
the
up
Okay. So
into
Erodium.
the
you're
top of Kyber.
okay.
Yeah, no, it's still this way. Months
Wow.
out. Months
And it's
and months
grown
out.
now.
It
It's like the
continues.
Yeah,
top
they
There are
don't, they
new
don't
50,
fix
games
it.
coming in
55 or
every
something.
season. Like it is a continuing work.
Oh man, GC.
I don't know. I don't know that you can say
It-
worsening in the sense that it doesn't feel like it's accelerating, like we're getting an increasing over and over and over higher proportion of Erodiums,
Yeah,
but you're still getting trickled in every season, a
that's
couple, 3, 4, 5.
wild.
It's
Yeah,
ridiculous, dude. Because,
Tassinix.
what's up?
Yeah, I was just gonna read some of your scores. You got 2084 to 10, 2098 to 10, 2120 to 0, 2115 to
Come at me,
65.
bro. Yeah. Look at what I can do
Jesus.
when I'm 14.5 million to their 4. Get on my
That's
level.
all you gotta do to get in K1, guys. That's all you gotta do. I mean, hey,
It's
you need to make a
just-
guide. You need to make a guide on how to beat Erodium players. Seriously.
You know what? That can be a video. It's like
Yes.
watch. You see. Find a key on your keyboard and go like this. That's how it's done. Got to exercise proper technique.
Yeah, because I'm looking in the. Well, I'm not sure the leaderboard is actually correct. The GG leaderboard corrected it. But yeah, it's crazy. When I was counting, I think at the beginning of week 3, it went up to 54 or 55,
Wow.
where the last like big chunk of them was. In that top 55, I think probably 5 to 10 were real players.
I want to say that in the top 50 at the early part of last season, it was unironically 48 out of the top 50 were Erodiums, or something like.
Yeah.
It was like 38 of the top 40 or like 48 of the top 50, something like that. Something where it is so incredibly skewed. And so there's two problems that they've created now, right? Like eventually they got to get rid of the Erodiums out. Fine. Let's say that they magically filtered all of them out and they go back to where they're meant to be. Now you've got these guys that have been stuck having to fight them for months. Like for example, at the top number 1 Kyber is Kabuki Warrior, who has been isolated with 7 other Erodium accounts for literally 4+ months. His rating is such that I think I was talking with Dagger about this the other day, and he said it's like the guy could lose like bordering on nearly 3 months consecutively to then come into line with who's the actual next legitimate opponent that would be at rank 2.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, the
I
game
don't know
mode
what
doesn't
to
exist
say.
for him anymore, essentially, because you can't
Yeah,
just
no,
not play
right.
because then you lose on the crystals, and if you
Yeah, so
play,
here's
you're
me.
stuck
Here's
there.
me complaining about getting rusty. This guy's just gone out to the pasture. You know, he's just
Did he change his name?
he's like male or something. Kabuki Warrior always
Yeah,
changed.
male. That's what I'm
Yeah,
seeing.
very,
Yeah,
very
it's 4,927 is his rating.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
What's the look down the ranking since you're already there? What's the next ranking of like the next, I don't know, non-Erodium player?
so I'll look at the next non-Rhodium. I was just looking at yours. You are at 4106.
Mhm.
So it's 400 difference.
4106.
Okay,
What did you
next
say?
non
49 or some shit that he has?
Yeah, it's like
4900.
Yeah,
Yeah,
3 matches per 100, sort of.
Is Habs fan a real player?
I don't know. It doesn't.
Not
I
in
don't know.
Kyber.
Mickey. Okay, no, that's an Erodium player. Okay, Aesop is there, so I'll look at him.
Aesop Rock, yeah,
he's at 4701, so he's like less than 300 behind. I don't think he'd get through a season if Kabuki or Mail lost for a full season. I think he'd fall below, but that is still a really big difference because you are top 50. You're 18 and you're at 4100.
Yeah,
so that's insane.
It's an easy fix if they manually remove the players from Kyber 1, then the actual ranking doesn't matter. It's just relative. But while those points are in there, it's virtually impossible to catch up in not impossible, but I mean, if you consider that if you win everything in a season, you're making like 300 points ish, something like that.
You can't meaningfully climb against him is the point. They
Yeah.
they would have to manually intercede, and I know that I've talked about this here and anywhere and everywhere else where you might see me. Like they announced, what was it? It's got to be 4+ months ago now when they put out that little blurb. Hey, we're aware of it, and the only purpose that they put out with that, they said that we're looking into it. Yada yada yada. The subtext was, we see your tickets, we see your emails, we see your complaints. Fucking stop, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what that was. That's what that was. It's not.
Yeah.
We're not coming at you with a timeline for a solution. We haven't even identified all the elements of the problem, but we are tired of hearing your shit about it. So just keep paying, pay pigs.
The thing is, though, this is probably the least impactful of all GAC bugs that exist.
I don't
Maybe
know.
so. Maybe so. I'll cop to that. It's definitely up only
It's
within a
very
narrow
impactful for a
band.
few people.
It's very
Like
impactful for
TAS,
people
yes.
now, though, because let's say they do fix the problem for TAS, and what's to say new people that haven't had this problem are going to experience it later. And you kind of have, then you're always going to have this revolving door of group of
At
people.
first, it doesn't feel like a problem.
At first, yeah,
it
at
feels
first it
like,
doesn't.
oh,
Yeah,
I get a
yeah.
freebie. Everybody's okay with a freebie once in a while.
Sure.
It's only maybe after a few months of this.
Right, but we have to remember, we've all been playing this game for how long? Like, this game's like a marathon here. It's going to go on for a lot longer than, we all thought, but I don't know. They need to jump on that, in my opinion. That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Right.
So on that pleasant note, Sanjita, how was your practice or real play this past GAC season?
I have real play. I'm not up as high as TAS. I didn't know until I just looked at the new and improved. I don't know if improved Swig.gg. I was 5-4, so it was kind of a mediocre season for me. I feel like 6-3 is like, I feel good. 5-4, it's like eh. I think I was getting crushed week 1 just because like I always get crushed at the beginning of 3v3 because I have like no Datacrons. I have like barely any time to get any. And then in 5v5, it's much better. I wish they flipped those. I mean, I've said that before. I wish that Datacrons that got introduced in 5v5 because there's fewer teams. You don't need as many.
May I ask your spending habits around Datacrons?
I don't spend money. I just farm them in conquests and then like use. So I try to like build up a stockpile of data cache, which is a lot easier now that they doubled it, which is great.
Yeah.
So I was able to get out the gate a little bit more, but I don't have the mats as fast. And yeah, I got some going into it, but before week 1, but it's not until like
Do you red box
get the
right
whole second
away,
week.
or do you try to get to sector 4 first and farm your mats?
I get to 4, farm the mats, do as many feats as I can on sector 4 and sector 3, and then after lock, then I'll finish sector 5.
So,
yeah,
so you
I'm pretty
neither
good.
pick up
I'm
the
pretty
$10 or
efficient.
the
It's just
$30.
like, huh?
Sorry, you neither pick up the $10 or the $30 ever.
I have never spent money on this game ever.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Completely fair.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have anything in theory against it. I just like I can't bring myself to do it. I'm a cheapskate
All
with
power to you,
everything.
man.
Yep.
So
No hate.
yeah, I will do my own labor and services. I'll just buy products. Like I'm finishing a whole room in my house by myself because I don't want to pay anyone to do anything. Because I don't know, it's just too expensive. I mean the Conquest Pass, like that I can see the value. It helps. But I basically just take the L week
for
1.
that first week of 3s.
Yeah.
It won't help you for that, but yeah.
I stopped spending last
Yeah.
year, and I don't buy anything anymore. But ever since they made Datacrons more accessible, like I've never felt the need to buy that pass anymore. Because I'm like, it's just because the thing is, like, even when the one thing I do, I think a lot of players may not do as much is I don't stop farming crons. Even when Conquest is over, I'm still rolling.
Yeah.
I'm still re-rolling. Like on those off weeks, I'm still going. Like I never stop farming crons ever. Like almost all my shard shop currency is specifically for Datacrons now. Very rarely will I buy gear. I only buy gear if it's like, oh, I need these 4 pieces to take this person to relic. But other than that, all shard shop goes to Datacrons.
What do you get for Datacrons? I only get data cache and the reroll mats. What do you do? Do you do
Uh,
more than that, or?
I'll get the Kron. If I don't have a Kron, I'll buy a Kron.
Oh, that's such bad value, man.
I mean,
you
it
get a
all goes,
Kron.
it all goes away, no matter what. So I mean, it's all bad value technically.
No, I mean like for Shard Shop currency, you
Oh,
could
yeah,
just like
yeah.
farm Sector 1 a bunch. Like the things that are dominantly more valuable in actual conquest, the Datacron itself, Mark II mat, Mark III mat. Everything
Yeah.
else is pretty pretty good for
Yeah, no,
Shard
I
Shop
only buy
currency.
the Kron and Shard Shop when Conquest is gone. Like when I need to farm
Yeah.
more Krons and I'm like, well, everything's already at 8 or 9 for me. Like I need to get more. I never stop.
You need to be
Yeah.
like you need to redo that meme for mod farming. Now it's DC farming. to
What
get you
about
going.
crystals?
Do you think
ABC
do you
always
think the
be
negative sentiments
Kroning.
towards Datacrons are cooling like they did for mods once upon a time?
Like in terms of the amount of
Yeah,
people that don't like them.
Yeah, because I mean, it was like I don't know, it was just a raucous uproar led by Arnold T101
I think people
back
that
when it
still,
came
I think
out,
that
and it
people
lasted a long time.
always hated Krons still hate Krons, and I think a lot of that has to do with just maybe they're not being as efficient, maybe they haven't implemented a budgeting system that's free to play that fits in with farming hard node characters, farming GLs, while also farming Krons. Because like for most of us, we all have all of our GLs. We don't have to worry about that. But I think for a lot of
Mhm.
players that are still farming that last GL, or they're getting their 4th or 5th one, doing that while farming Krons, I think can be very taxing mentally and just resource wise. So I
Yeah.
think Krons just really, it's just one more thing for people to do. But because we're all endgame players, it's not that bad for us.
Which interesting thing, I'm doing normal conquest on my little account. I'm 1.7 million, and you get the exact same Datacron return on the bonus nodes as in hard. And I was really surprised. I thought it'd be like a reduced amount for sure, but it's the exact same. So it is just as easy if you're not in hard.
yeah. I think honestly, most people who are not engaging with Datacrons are not necessarily doing it from a logical perspective, just more from an emotional perspective. But from everything
Yeah.
I have seen, especially for newer players, frankly, well, newer, a year old or something like that, sort of post the implementation phase, it works. It fits in pretty easily with whatever they're doing, and it gives a huge power boost. So, once you start having some relic characters that it can apply to, why not?
Yeah.
Sanjita, let
I
let
love
me
them.
ask, what's your
Yeah.
personal practice for that first, at least for the first week of conquest? Like I've long stuck to the guns that a player could completely free to play style have a very strong roster of Datacrons, but it would depend on you being able to do 6 refreshes a day in conquest. So that means that if you're trying to stay strictly within like your daily crystal income budget, that means that you might be diverting, like I like to go 6 refreshes on mods. I might divert those last 3 into conquest if I'm constrained, or if I'm otherwise good on signal data, I might divert cantina refreshes so that I get my 6. But like if I'm doing that, and this is assuming no, because I never go for the $30 pass. There's a great
Mhm.
economic argument for it, but let's say that we're sticking to your camp, not spending money on it. If you did the through the 100s for that first week, I've come out somewhere between 10, 12, something like that, level 9s. Not optimized level 9s, but they're there. And I've got like the key ones that I'm looking for that first week. And I'm in a great position for, week 2 of that conquest for barreling through.
Yeah, I do the 50s and the 100s, pretty much both conquests, like all the way through. So I do that every day. I have pretty good crystal income, so it's fine. And yeah, I get a bunch, but like week 1, I don't know, I might get a handful. Like it depends on the set. This set, I was more about trying to get a bunch of level 3s. Well, actually, I will level if I get the good level 3 for this one, like the health and protection. I would level up to level 4 just as a like organizational tool because
The
the
visual flag.
the UI is so bad for Datacron, so I just do that. So if I have a level 4, I know it's good, and then I'll upgrade it from there. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I can get a few, but I have limited coverage because for each set, I don't have any self-sufficient full sets. So for 14, I have 16. I have 20 level 9s and then a few level 8s. And they're good, but like they don't match everything. Like there's not a good one for each team. So I end up having like just a few teams, not too many, just a few fall through the cracks. But I don't have killer ones, like I don't have re-rolled ones. I'm facing people that have like they re-rolled all the stats. It's like 1 or 2 stats on them, and they got all the perfect like uh health perfect abilities. So it's just like a temporary downside.
So if you're
But
hitting it the way that you are and you're coming out with a decent number for that first week, the other part of that that a lot of folks will sometimes forget is consider here that we're in the last hurrah for set 14, right? It won't be with us
Mhm.
come next 3 versus 3 season. So you're thinking like I've got my 20 plus set 14s and I've got my 10 plus set 15s, and that's my 30 Datacrons, and I'm covered for the worst case of 3 versus 3, largest possible board. But then when set 14's gone, you would need to have had not less than 20 set 15s to be in a good position so that when you're farming up the new set 16 in that first week, if you hit your 10, you're still met for your full 30.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I
it just
forget that
depends on the
sometimes too.
quality of this. It depends on the quality of this set that you're keeping. Set 13 was really good because Dow at the protection up was a broad level 3. But then with 14, the level 3s aren't that good. So this one was a rougher one for me than normal. But like it does reflect in my stats. I just realized this because of the way they changed Swig.gg. I'm 21 and 15 the last 4 3v3 seasons, 58%, or I have a 58% win rate in 3v3, but 66 in 5v5. Because once I get around to 5v5, I have a glut of them. Like I don't like you only need 22, right, at the least. So, but no, I mean, I'm a very efficient like player. I'm very good at exploiting the different value structures, and it's just something. It's kind of a loss the first week. I just accept it, and also I have zero level 9 reroll mat or level 3 reroll mats for the level 9. So that's something I'll just never be able to get. It's like if I don't roll it right on the first level up, then it's like okay, I don't have this level 9. So
Because you have spent them, because your guild doesn't win TW,
I was going to
or
say that's a weird way of saying my guild shit at TW, but yeah.
because like no, because you don't get a TW, right?
You get level
Yeah.
3. You get that late stage reroll mats.
Or you only get like one TW, right?
You get
That's the new set.
2 sets of TW payout per month, right? Two TW payouts per month.
Yeah, but the timing, I'm pretty sure you get at most one TW with the new mats before the first week, like
probably
the
right about
Tuesday,
that, yeah.
Wednesday one.
Usually.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, to
and
be sure, if
I
you're
mean,
fighting people that got it set up, you definitely know they spent money. There's no illusions there.
Because every once in a while, I
yeah.
think we'll
So,
get
I
a
mean,
concept where it leaks early, where it's like, oh, we're doing a TW where we got 3 sets active at once. But
that's only happened once, I think, for TW. But yeah,
I think it happens like once every. I think it's like every 4 or 5 months. It happens once. Because I know it happened
okay.
last year, and it was nobody really cared because like it wasn't that great of a set. But last time it happened, it was kind of a bigger deal.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we're okay at TW. We're not like Gauntlet or anything. Which
You
I
know
don't
I'm
know
just
if
pulling your
Gauntlet even
leg.
like has super high win rates anyway.
You know
No,
I'm
I
just
always-
pulling
Let
your
me see
leg.
our
But
win
if I
rate.
heard somebody say, "Yeah, man, I'm just not getting a lot of those mats that come out of TW wins,"
We-
it's like, huh?
We have a 72% win rate past 6 months.
That's pretty damn good.
That's not bad.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Like we're good. It's just like it doesn't happen, and the timing doesn't line up.
Yeah,
Like you're just
yeah.
screwed.
And I'm
Yeah,
mostly just
I
pulling
don't.
your leg anyway.
No, I know. I don't know though. Like I'm trying to think now. I'm like, do we get one before? Because I feel like I haven't had any level 3s for the new set in a
You,
while.
you absolutely will. Right now, you are in defense setting period for a TW.
Look
No,
at rewards though.
No, I have them now. I mean, for the first week
Mm,
of 3v3.
mhm.
That's
Yeah.
it. Like after that first week of 3v3, I'm fine. Like
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
people could say I'm a whale, but
Well, other times too, what I've done, because like I don't spend money in the game anymore either, is like sometimes if I get a TW win and I'm like, you know what, this set's gonna expire, I just save the level 3s so they convert for the next set. So that's something you could also do.
they don't
They
convert
convert
to
level
the
2, don't
same.
they?
Do they
Yeah,
convert? Do you
they
not?
convert
Oh,
down.
they convert
Yeah,
down.
You
Oh.
take they switch to the next set type and you take a penalty. You take
Oh,
a haircut on what
gosh.
that's actually
I've
worth.
lost so many. That
Yeah.
means.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, you
Oh.
have.
use those.
I'll be
Oh,
like,
yes, you
yeah,
have.
use the level
120.
3s.
Leave it.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well,
That's
Nah,
painful.
yeah, they don't convert.
my bad.
So I have plenty of the first two, but
Okay.
Fair enough. No, thanks
Well,
for
it's
going
a
in depth
mystery.
on that.
They're very
Talking
opaque with how
about
the conversion is.
overpowered datacrons or not overpowered datacrons. Sort of going back to the Queen introduction and talking about how she impacted this last week or this last season, and maybe depending on, well, I'm sure Tass fought Queens in TW with her datacron, obviously, or not hers, but Padawan Anakin's
Obi-Wan.
pay-to-win
Obi-Wan, yeah.
datacron. Obi-Wan, yeah. Do you guys think so in my opinion, with the trio of the Queen and the new Qui-Gon and Anakin, or Obi-Wan, sorry, plus a couple of others. I think there's a lot of, depending on what you want to do, you can put a number of other GR characters in that those two other slots. But with the Queen, with a full Gungan squad at Relics, and with Bane, from my perspective, those three characters or those three sets of characters, they're more powerful than any of the GLs. Like if you compare them objectively against what they can kill or defend against. The only thing is with the Queen, obviously she has a Datacron. Bane has a Datacron too, though it doesn't make a huge difference, and he's only offense. And okay, well, yes,
sorry.
not
Hey,
know,
No, no,
99% of
he's only
the,
offense. He's only offense. I'll stand by that.
No,
But
man, no, I know you. I know people like you and Fatal are out there in the trenches setting them sneaky ass back wall banes on people. Don't bullshit like you don't do that. Like you know nothing about that. See no evil, hear no evil.
do you guys think that this is really they've introduced a new power tier, or it's just the fact that the characters are new and people haven't worked out the best defenses for them? Most people don't have them in relics. I mean, besides Bane, and there's
I
good
mean,
DCs for them.
I don't say Bane's a new tier. Like Bane's his own tier. I mean, I don't know how long Queen Amidala is going to be amazing without her Datacron. Or like once she loses her good Datacron, how she'll be. But Bane is definitely his own tier. He's in his own world. And Gungans are really good. But I mean, there's stuff. There's targeted stuff that can beat him. But it does feel like these new sets of characters, they don't have like one strong point and then like other weak points. They do everything well. They got great survivability. They have great initiative. They got great damage. Like it's not like a paper tiger team like Imperial Troopers. Like you need to, or I don't know if that's the right term for it, but like or glass cannon. It's not like they need to go first. If they don't, they're screwed. Or it's not like a stalwart defensive team. They just do everything well. I think Inquisitors are also in that bucket too. There's just no weak point.
Good point about Inquisitors. To me, it feels like, well, I'm talking Gungans in particular. I think we all agree Bane is just incredibly powerful. But Gungans in particular almost feel like Rey did when she first came out. I mean, obviously without the flexibility, but you have to play, if you play correctly and you take exactly the right, 5 or 6 combinations of good teams. There's so many characters, it's hard to have an unbeatable team. But if the team is modded correctly and set up well, they really don't have any like glaring weaknesses. You're not going to plague them to death. You're not going to turn meter train them to death. You're not going to immunity something them to death. Like it really seems like, to me, basically, it feels like they're introducing a new power level in the meta, and I'm curious what that means going forward. Or I could just be seeing the impact of Datacron and people not being familiar with the teams. I don't know.
Well, I think there can be little debate as to whether or not these, as teams and new characters are coming out, of course they have to power creep. Of course the game has to power creep. So of course these new teams as they come out will be immediately relevant, and I would not be surprised if they're enduringly relevant. Like the Padawan Obi-Wan Kron for the Queen Amidala team last season was like what that essentially did was you didn't have time to get stable with some other type of lesser counter, because basically once something started calling Padawan Obi-Wan, the true damage was nuclear. But that said, like, if we immediately cop to any of these new teams that are going to come out, and we know that when they come out, when the full team is realized, very shortly thereafter, we expect a meta Datacron to come out to be with it for that initial release period. Surely they will be at the top of the game. But like in this last 3 season, the Gungans and Queen Amidala were able to be countered by the Padme lead with the Padme Kron.
Yeah.
People were doing that. Now, I personally had terrible luck doing Padme against Queen Amidala. But it was, Padme, Ahsoka, Shakti was great against Gungans, and the most fearsome orientation in 3s was Nas, Jar Jar, and Phalanx with the Jar Jar Kron. The amount of turns taken and the amount of ping pong off of Jar Jar and Phalanx taking turns and activating each other. It was a timeout risk. It was a horror show for debuffs. And at a couple points, using the Padme counter, Padme gets really low. And that's why I really like Shakti in there, to use her third, heal her up, stabilize, and then you were able to close out the fight. So it's like this strong team had a Datacron introduced alongside it that makes it, meta-defining, top of the game. But now they also introduced a Datacron alongside it that works with Padme. And now you had a reasonable, quote-unquote, budget solution for a top-end team. Whereas with Queen Amidala, I really like JMK, Cat, and Mace, because after the Padawan Obi-Wan Kron is gone, you're still going to have to deal with the fact that, like, let's say you're fighting the Triple Omi Queen Amidala. She's going to start the fight and summon the decoy, and then very shortly thereafter, all non-decoy people are going to be under stealth. So it isn't whether or not you can get around the tank or otherwise obviate the tank. Like, you can only hit the tank if you can't deal with the stealth. So you have to think about that. And Mace pulling people out of stealth was great. But to your point, after this Datacron is gone, you might still need an incredibly powerful solution to deal with that team, just because of the base mechanics involved. There's not a lot that deals with that neatly. All right, that's enough out of me.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that these characters definitely feel like, the flavor of the month, but like the flavor of the month is getting stronger and stronger and stronger with each meta. I have a weird opinion on Gungans. I really like them right now, and I think they're in a really good spot. But I compare Gungans, and this is a bit of a stretch, but I'm comparing them to Tuskens quite a bit. I think they'll be way more relevant. They'll last way longer than Tuskens did. But I think eventually when people figure them out, because they only do one thing. They have one tag, which means unless they get a Gungan Datacron a second time pretty soon, they're not going to be this strong. So they are going to be,
They do have the, like, sorry, I was going to say, yeah, they have the fatal weakness of the shield generator. As soon as you can kill that.
Yes. You get the shield generator down, and it's pretty much free pickings at that point. So Gungans, I don't think I'm gonna overinvest like R9 the whole faction. I think 7, possibly 8 is my goal. And that's only reason for 8 is like if we have the same raid standards. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But other than that, they feel like they are very pretty much like the raid team. kind of like how, and that's why I'm comparing them to Tuskens. Like Tuskens came out, we needed them for the raid. After you got them done for the raid, they really only have like one or two uses every once in a while, and it's very Datacron dependent. Um, but in terms of like Bane and Queen, I think people really fear what they don't understand sometimes. So when you get a lot of new characters on defense that show up and you don't, you've never, had hands-on experience fighting this team or practicing against it, I think that's where you really kind of get the advantage of just, having these new characters. Because obviously, if it's a new character, people aren't going to be familiar with it. They're not going to understand the AI, the targeting, or even just, just the overall behavior of the fight.
I agree on like the categories or categorization of Gungans like Tuskens, but they're definitely going to be strong beyond
yes.
like
Yeah.
their Datacron set. Because like I faced one at the last week of the last season in 5v5 without their own Datacron set. It was just light side, and they were still really good. So like they're a higher tier, kind of like Ken was saying, maybe not like Bane or anything, but they are definitely going to be, because they outrank most teams that are in the game now, with just a few exceptions. So I think they'll be around a long time. And for Queen Amidala, I mean, there is like the lack of familiarity, which her with the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan it's just the real deal. Like the only thing that was beating it well, like easily, was Bane, and then JMK with Padme Ron. Like other than that, like standard Padme lineup, JMK or no standard JMK lineup, JMK, Cat, and GK was under 50%. Like
You know why that was
it's
though?
crazy.
You know why the GK
Why?
part of it was the jam is because what are you gonna do? Like how is Cat and GK gonna help you deal with all non-decoy people are under stealth? What are you going to do now? You just time out. I've seen players do it last season. It's a tragedy because you've got the goods, you just can't hit who you want.
Yeah. And that's
Exactly, yeah. But I mean, even if you have Mason there, which solves those problems, that was still 66%. So it's like
On how many attempts?
they're the real deal.
I only ran that twice, but it was butter for me both times.
Yeah, I mean it's probably something because you probably have a really. What's your Mace like? Is he R9 or R8 or
fair.
7?
There might be something to that. My Mace is R9, but he's also prop modded. Because
He's what modded?
He's prop modded because back in the day when you were still running Mace with JMK and Ahsoka and you wanted Mace to be called to assist, I had it set up such that Ahsoka would gain enough max health to have a higher. Yeah, you know where I'm at.
I want to talk about it. I hate that. I hate that so much, man.
It's a cancer.
Did you say prot as an abbreviation for protection or prop?
Yes,
like
protection.
Okay.
Yeah, no, PROT prot, not like proc.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my bad. No, he is prot modded. That way, when all of the health gains are considered with Ahsoka, she would end up having a higher life total, such that Mace gets called to assist.
Ability blocks.
I never moved him out of that, and I don't know how important that is for that matchup because I don't feel like he was getting harmed that much. I'd have to see what the fails were because again, it's like you do the reset on Cat first. I was thinking about maybe you do the middle so that you can get to ult sooner, but it isn't like that. Because when you do the third, you are safely faster than everybody else on that team, which means you get to look right at Padawan Obi-Wan, delete him, and then they do all their stuff. Decoy comes into play, and then Mace pulls out the other non-decoy people. Padawan Obi-Wan's already gone. So again, I only did it twice, so I'm not here to tell you it's the Bible on it, but I don't have the experience to know where the fail points are because it was.
You don't know how many
times I mean, I love bait. I love when Mace can get something done. Did you guys notice on Swig.GG, you know how they have the average banners? They changed it. They used to only count like wins, like what the average was in a win, and right now it's showing the average like overall, like including a 0. Or like cleanup. So
no, I haven't done any.
I'm seeing like 20 average of 25 banners for something for like the Mace. It's an expected. I look at it as an expected value of 37.7 banners.
Yeah, that's
Then
not.
GK is
Yeah, it
27.
doesn't sound good.
It's weird. But
Yeah, I
then
think they'll probably
GK
change
or
that.
JMK with Padme and Cat is 53.35 because a lot of people win first time.
Yeah, especially that the number with JMK Cat Padme goes up to like 90 plus when you have the level 9 on her.
93%, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes it
sincerely,
easy. That's what I use on all the Queen.
You don't know
teams.
how many
Sorry,
times
go
I've
ahead.
gone up against JMK and want to do some off meta stuff, and like my opponent just happens to have really bad mods on Cat on accident, and Mace is stronger, and I'm just like, why? Why does he have 1,000 more health like on accident? But no, it's a.
Nice.
I think that's the way to go. I mean, ability block on basic is so strong, super strong.
Yeah, I
Nice.
love Mace. I did win what was like a 20% matchup. I won with Treya, Nihilus, and Scion. Like it was the first time I saw it. I think it was like week 1. I was just like,
Oh, I
I
saw
don't
that
know,
match.
because we did no stats. I was like, I'll try this. They killed Treya almost immediately, and then I put it on airplane mode. I was like, I'm gonna back out of this. But just Scion and
Wait,
Nihilus.
before you push on, versus who? Treya, Nihilus, Scion versus who? Versus Queen?
Queen Amidala, Qui-Gon, and Obi-Wan with the
Okay,
Palpron.
yeah.
Oh,
So they killed Treya almost immediately, and I'm like, oh, I have no Omicron. This is over. Put her on airplane mode. Nihilus and Scion on their own. I guess Treya's leadership is in there. Just their uniques. Pull it off. Nihilus almost dies, but starts stacking his health like crazy. Scion gets held by hatred, and those two alone pulled it out. Like Treya, I'm not kidding. She died almost immediately because I went in there ignorantly. I didn't know he was hitting under protection. Obi-Wan, he ripped her to shreds, but then Nihilus had probably like 1,000,000 health by the end.
I'm really
It was
glad you
very
mentioned this.
fortuitous.
I'm really glad you
Yeah.
mentioned this, Sanjita, because I've been running my Treya for years in an offense health set. And I've been resistant, and I've been having people twist my arm and recommending, and I resisted all this time. But I finally did move her into defense sets. Now, there's an intelligent argument to be made while we have all of this protection disruption that you could, go for health primaries and try and bulk her out that way in a defense set. In like 6 defense, something like that. I still went for prop primaries because I did the napkin math, and the survivability difference at battle start favors protection, which I'm stacked up on, and then I go to stack health after that. The only time where I feel like I'm at a disadvantage with that is if I'm deliberately choosing to walk into a protection disruption matchup. But even if I were, defense would do better for me than my offense and health orientation that I had them in for years. So that specifically thinking about these top end applications of Treya finally pushed me to do that.
So you are like the situation you're worried about is like a really early, like turn 1, like she gets killed.
Especially
so you're worried about that as opposed to
you heard about people
throughout the
doing
battle.
Treya versus Gungans, right?
I didn't know what no, I didn't know that. But
So-
I know. I mean, I ran Treya versus Gungans, but that's the scenario that I'm looking for. That is what you're thinking about. Okay.
Well, you were describing against Queen Amidala, and I hadn't
Yeah.
seen or heard anything about that. So I take you completely at what you're saying there,
Oh.
because I know from what I have seen about them fighting the Gungans, if they decide to, go focus in on Treya at the start of the battle, the jig is up, and me having her in that offense modding, I've been slapping the hell out of people for years with an offense modded Treya. And it does nothing for you in this situation. You just lose her within the first 15, 20 seconds of the fight, and you just get to sit there like an asshole.
Actually, versus the Gungans, the good Treya setup, it has close to 100%, I think, if you control for some low relic.
It's literally
Savage Treya.
I did the filters last season, late in the season, assuming like minimum relics of 7 on everybody. The quote unquote right Gungan setup for both Team Comp and Datacrons. All this, it ended up being about 66% win rate. And where does the 1/3 chance to fail come in? If they choose to focus down and open up on Treya off rip.
Is this Savage lead or Treya lead?
No, this is talking Trey Elite. This is again. I don't mean to drag so far away from what you were talking about, Sanjita, but this was specifically Trey versus
this was-
Gungans.
You're just talking about 3v3, right?
3v3. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So they really were able to like gun her down that often? I think I did it
didn't
once
run
and it was like
I didn't run it, but some of my other podcast buddies and some other top players that I've been talking to, they tried it and they said it was awesome. I have won my matches using this, except when they choose to open up and focus down Trey off rip. In which case you can do nothing and you lose.
Yeah. Very interesting. I still have health with crit avoidance arrow, but that's because I have much deeper health mods and defense. In general, I'm a big fan of defense. It's just I have a lot of defense protection primaries just because those are the bargains. You know, it's like you don't need 6 dots at all. They're already just awesome. But yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I need
Defense
to
mods
probably
Your
are
health
pretty
more
good.
modding's
defense.
probably okay. It's a better defensive posture than what I was talking about, having run historically in an offense
Yeah.
set. You were probably, and I ran the crit. I run the crit avoidance arrow in all cases on all 3 of the main Sith trio. So
Yeah.
I'm right there with you on that. But you know, your health posture is probably the next best to pure defense,
Yeah.
and certainly better than offense. Sorry, Vance Hill, you were going to say something.
No, I was just agreeing with you on my like defense. I feel like those are the one mods that like I'm glad I invested in when I did, because now they're starting to become a lot more relevant. Like just having 2 extra defense mods on a character, it's like makes a huge difference.
It's a really
That's-
nice like flex set. Like health and defense are the ones I'll put on anyone. I'm happy if I have a really fast one. I don't care as much about what the primary is. Even if it was like a defense set, like I don't know, offense primary or something. Like you can find spots for it, like a defense sec or damage secondary, because it's so flexible.
Definitely.
Agreed.
Yep.
So, what do you guys think is going to happen in this 5v5 season? We're talking about Gungans and Padme, but just from a 3v3 context, and TW, but specifically for Gungans and Padme and Bane also. Totally different performance in TW. Powerful in their own right, but definitely not as flexible as in GAC. What do you think is going to be outstanding, weird, strange behaviors in
I'll go first on this one.
5v5 season?
So, in terms of Gungans, I think less than 1,000 people even have Jar Jar right now. But I think people are just going to use whatever they're using in TW to counter Gungans. That's what they're going to use. I think people also have a bigger opportunity to experiment now, because now we have 5 characters instead of 3 to throw at Gungans, so that's going to be kind of nice. Queen Amidala, though, there's a lot of ways to run her team. I think
Yeah,
she's going to be
very curious.
I think she's going to be like, I don't want to say like the new Rey, but I feel like that team is constantly going to be evolving outside the trio of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Obviously, right now with the Padme Kron, that's kind of like, the flavor of the month, but I think that team is always going to be changing in terms of who your 4th and your 5th are going to be on the team. And for Bane, I'm still going to set my Bane on defense. I've actually transitioned to bulk for Bane. I actually really like bulk with Bane over his Kron right now. But I mean, again, I'm running him with a full team.
Oh,
Can
the
you
bulk.
please
bulk
define what
Kron.
you mean by that? Because I've been running Bane in like pure health sets with like a crit damage triangle, health primary arrow, health primary cross, health primary circle.
Yeah.
So what differs that from what you would call bulk modding?
So I'm using
Is
the
that
new
I'm
Kron.
modding, right?
No, the bulk Kron. Yeah, but no, but I am bulk modding his team. So I'm running him with like the trashiest Sith you can think of. I have Marauder as my weakest. So Marauder is going to be the one he's going to be stealing health from, but I have Marauder modded with like a crap load of defense. So he has a lot of health steal already, so he should be able to heal himself back up. I got Sith Assassin on the team. I believe I have Darth Maul modded with just protection and defense as well. And then I think the last person out on the team is Set. So it's literally just your leftover Sith. And I'm kind of treating it as like a General Grievous type team, where the longer Bane's around, the more banners he's going to take from you, and the longer you risk of, losing a fight. And you don't want to lose against that team. So you either have to overcommit and throw something like C at it, use C and forget about it, but then using C against Bane plus a bunch of leftover Sith. And the way I kind
Right,
of look
and your Gas 501st is sitting right next to it in the back. Hi.
I have Gas with Keller and Beck still, and what I'm doing, since I don't have Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan, I'm going to be using Queen Amidala with 501st.
Yeah, I might do that too. So I don't have any Omicrons for her either.
But like my mentality on the whole Bane, it's like, okay, I can take Bane on offense, and I can get full banners against one of your GLs, or would I rather flip that scenario, make you use one of your GLs on my Bane, and you get bad banners? And it's like, I'll take the bad banner situation all the time, because there's more than one way to get full banners on offense. You're way more control, you have way more flexibility on offense, because you're the one making all the moves. But if I could force my opponent to use a GL and get bad banners, he's going to be on defense every time.
It's a good argument. I mean, you're actually, this 3v3 season is like, there's no way with the Datacrons and Padme or Queen, whatever. I wanted to keep Bane on offense. But in 5v5s, there's so many tools. It's quite tempting.
I don't think it's tempting at all. I think it's lunacy, if I'm being honest.
Like I said, people fear what they don't understand.
Well,
and if they want to, never interrupt your opponent from making never interrupt your opponent from making a mistake.
It's a big gamble, and
Yeah.
I'm right there with Sanjita. Like, I think especially for week 1 and 5 vs 5, the theme will be overwhelming fear. Like, we have learned from 3 vs 3 what these new Datacrons with Queen Amidala, with the Gungans, are capable of. So certainly where I'm at, people are going to favor keeping enough offensive tools, probably a lighter week 1 defense. And I mean, this kind of defines top level play, where everybody has all of the overpowered offensive options, all of the crowns, yada, yada, yada. There's a bit of gamesmanship on that bottom front wall. Maybe I have a whole bunch of GLs in the back. Maybe I don't. You'll have to figure it out. And certainly you would expect both Queen Amidala and Gungans to be on defense to see what they can get, because even if you win or lose the match, the first week is always about generating intel that's applicable for week 2.
Oh, I need to interject something, because I just remember this back to when we were talking about my first week of 3v3, and you were saying, how do you not have level 3 reroll mats? The first week of Conquest is always TB, so you don't have TW. So that's why it's impossible to get them.
That's fair.
So I just realized that. I was thinking you only have one, but no, Conquest, the first week of Conquest is TB week. So yeah, I never have any level 3 rerolls.
Fair point. Very fair.
Sorry, just what?
No.
Came to me.
Good correction. Good correction. Fair enough. It all blends together for me, so fair enough.
I think another thing we haven't actually talked about at all that is going to be very interesting in the first week of 5v5 is SLKR.
Oh yeah.
That's sort of countered everything this 3v3 season, but many people put him on defense. Not everybody, actually. It was on offense quite a bit too.
We discussed this last month. We said he's going to be the apex predator of the set 15, and I'm sure you guys had your own experiences. I had mine fighting them, seeing them on my opponent's defense.
Dude,
it's real deal shit.
I did a mirror, and I got so lucky in my mirror match that their SLKR went straight from my SLKR, and I was like, okay, cool, nothing happened. Now I get to win. But there's far and few answers to him right now, and there's almost no answers for a cleanup at the moment. If you preload that team or fail against it, you're going to be staring at it for another 23 hours essentially.
The sun has set upon you in all of your works. You are done.
Yep. But speaking of First Order, and Ken, you reminded me about this. The one team I'm going to be setting, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of, is First Order Stormtrooper with Lord Vader.
I think we'll see also.
I think that's going to be a very hard team for bounty hunters to actually pull through. I'll still try.
Why not?
Why not? Because he's
bounty hunters.
Because of the incredible
in TW?
No, in GC. Vader. We're talking about the First Order Stormtrooper.
Who's using bounty hunters with any hope
against Lord Vader?
Yeah.
Ambitious
Yeah.
sons of
Yeah.
bitches. Don't get it twisted, Sajita. There's people out there trying to do it big, and
Yeah.
It's like 15%, isn't it?
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that Foskron is there to check those ambitions. I mean, I don't want to take Van Seal's
I
thunder.
mean, I
Go
don't
ahead.
typically run the Fennec lead. It's either Boss lead or Sign of Django lead. Those are the two I usually go with because I think they last longer. The Fennec lead is like, wham bam, thank you ma'am, got my contract, let's win. But like if you don't, you're dead. The Boss lead and the Boba Fett Sign of Django lead, it's like if you can get through that initial first set of moves, those teams will last much longer. Like those teams can last the 5 minutes.
What
Talking
about
first
why
order.
not
Go ahead, Sajid.
why not crew instead of first order stormtrooper? Because he's actually jives
Because of the
with
level
Lord
9
Vader lead.
Datacron. The level 9
Yes, the
Datacron.
level 9.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read it or not, but it's like he
I
generates
have.
50% armor pen and offense to the leader. Kind of similar to the first order level 6, how it works with anybody. His also works with anybody.
I mean, all of us
3v3
would go postal at the opportunity to increase the defense, the offensive potential of Lord Vader off rip by that magnitude.
Yeah.
It is serious business.
He's basically going to be doing damage at the start of the battle that he would normally be doing like a minute and a half to 2 minutes in the battle.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
It's a great level 9 in a bunch of teams. Like in 3v3, I used it. I had DR, Malak, and Faust that never got killed besides a GL. Really, really. I mean, I'm sure there's tricky little ways to do it, but you can put that with. I think Lord Vader is an awesome fit in 5v5.
Yep.
But there's some other interesting fits for him where you have a strong leader. It's going to be messy.
Dang it, I don't have that Kron. I mean, I
So you had a
reviewed the whole
week of,
Kron set at
Conquest.
the beginning, but I don't have that one.
You have time yet?
Yep.
Yeah, till tomorrow. I have no
That's
more
right.
mats. I used them all.
Ah, well, all right.
Not a week too. You still have a week of conquest. A
Yeah.
week of conquest, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll be targeting it. Yeah, for sure.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yes, it's very good.
All right. Any other thoughts about the upcoming season here before we call it for this month? Sanjita? Tass?
Nope, looking forward to it. I'm always ready to move past 3v3 and get to 5v5, so it'll be fun.
All right. Should be interesting. Well, thank you again, guys, very much for another council episode. Again, we can start with Van Seal this time. Van Seal, Tass. Sanjita, any last thoughts? Where can people find you?
Find me on YouTube and Twitch, Van Seal. I usually stream all my GAC matches and try to put a couple videos out a week on YouTube. But looking forward to the season.
Tass?
Likewise, find me twitch.tv/Tassinix for live play, for my VODs of my streams and all of my other stuff that's on Tassinix Gaming YouTube.
Sanjita?
Yep, just YouTube, Sonjita, Songeta. A lot of Grand Arena and a lot of new player stuff recently, so check it out.
And I can be found at grandarenascience.com, Discord. There's quite a few counters actually for 3v3. I believe I have at least one or two, in Sanjita's case, probably 3 or 4 fights from your last 3v3 season that have been uploaded up there. Some good ones. So
Nice.
thank you guys very much, and we'll talk in a month. Cheers.
All right, thanks, guys. See ya.